up, y'all? It's me, Erica, and we are down here. Peace, y'all. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. What's up, everybody? It's me, Erica, and we are down here, honey, to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac. What season are they on? 8 or 7? I think they're on 8. I want to say they're on 8. Hold on. Season 7, Real Housewives of Potomac. They're on season 7. All right, so this is season 7 taglines. I mean, not taglines. Season 7 reunion. I was looking up that tagline, that colorist tagline that Giselle had. I think that was last season, where she said the key to staying pretty is staying in the shade. The light-skinned woman saying the key to staying pretty is staying in the shade, so the sun doesn't make you what? Darker? Oh, okay. When I tell you I do not like this show, I do not like the characters of the women on this show. If that's not who they are off camera, I don't like the characters that they play on the show. I just don't. Especially Giselle, Robin, and Ashley, and Karen. Because while Karen had this wonderful, perspective of colorism, she's still the one. I would like to know why she said that Wendy didn't fit the look of the group. I would like to know that. I thought the colorism segment, I think it was like maybe 2.5 minutes. I don't even think it was 2 minutes. I thought it was piss poor. I thought them not having the segment that they are saving for Robin to lie some more in favor of her philandering now husband is what they could have actually dedicated to the colorism conversation. So I figure at this point we should probably just stop talking. Like, we can call it out when we see it, but I think for them to actually have a in-depth conversation of substance, I don't think that we're going to get that on this show. Like I said last night, Wendy and Candace acting like so emotional that because of Ashley, big head, vile ass, gutter snipe, under the freeway ass Ashley, she can recognize her privilege. Why is Wendy called ferocious when Robin has been the most violent person, the one that always needs to call security? Go watch from season 1. Robin has always had a short temper, ready to fight somebody. Calling Wendy an antagonist after she has been assaulted, telling her to be quiet or fight after she's been assaulted. Them saying they don't like Wendy is the reason why they can't acknowledge her mistreatment. Like, that's a dangerous bitch to have around you. That's why a lot of women don't trust women, because if they don't, I tell you guys this all the time, if they don't like you, they will agree with or ignore the mistreatment of you. Like, they will. You have to be mindful. And it works in this kind of society that we live in, where if a woman doesn't like you, she'll ignore the mistreatment of you. She'll ignore your assault, your RAPE, your DV, your bullying. She'll ignore it. And like, for them to actually sit there and say, because I don't like her, like, so you can't see her mistreatment because I don't like her. And for a woman to be like, how old is Giselle? 55 years old? For her to still literally like be able to say that out loud. Honestly, I was just thinking about her daughters the entire time. Like, If that was my mom on stage, first of all, I would be so fucking embarrassed. Hello. They're like Gen Z. They're Gen Z. So I would be fucking embarrassed if my mom was on stage ignoring the way another woman was mistreated simply because she doesn't like her. And why don't you like her? Because she retaliated or responded to you trying to say that her behavior was because her husband was cheating on her, because she had low self-esteem, she was dressing like a loose woman, and she cussed your asses out, and so now you don't like her to the point where you will actually ignore the mistreatment and then actually sit there when I just tweeted about it when Wendy said even dumbass Mia, basically saying, even her dumbass, if she's being mistreated, I know right and wrong is wrong. And then Giselle sits up there talking about, talking about, that's not nice. After you sat there and said, I don't like her, but she says dumbass Mia, and you say that's not nice, and she's actually talking about the woman who attacked her twice. Again, because she doesn't like her, she's expecting a behavior out of her that she should be nice to the person who attacked her. Like, I would, when I tell you, I would be to the point like when I was no longer dependent on Giselle as a mother, I would not want to be around. If I was her daughter, if I was her daughters, I would be completely embarrassed. Like, your mom is like that, bro? Your mom? She will literally ignore the mistreatment of another woman simply because she doesn't like her. But why doesn't she like her? Because she responded to her mistreatment of her. It's literally like a person being mad at you for you mistreating them, and now anything that happens to you, they just don't care about. I would be embarrassed. I wouldn't want to be her. She would be like, when you think about it, like as a young girl growing up into a woman, and you look at your mother and you think to yourself, would she be in my friend circle? Right? And when you grow up, when you finally become a grown woman and you look at your mom and you look at how she moves and you look at her outside of her being your mother and just being another woman, would you want that woman in your circle of friends? Mm-mm. I'm embarrassed. I'm so embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for the children of these women. Candace asked, what did he do? He made me feel uncomfortable. That's why you know it's not real, because you playing sing-songy and doing all that stuff. It's not real. You're playing semantics. I feel like we're playing semantics. We are playing. We need to play semantics. We need to be very specific, because what you're doing is saying, I felt uncomfortable. He didn't do anything. He didn't say anything, and you made it clear that it wasn't anything inappropriate, but you felt uncomfortable because and it would have been more effective for Giselle to say, listen, I come from a space where men are always trying me. So I have a rule to never be alone in a room with a man alone. Because there have been times where I have been mistreated and I was alone with a man. So I have a rule. Chris didn't know about that rule. So when I was in the room with him, I felt uncomfortable. That is why I immediately said something. She said, like, go get something from the set or something like that, she said. But it wasn't him. He didn't do anything. And it would really make everybody be like, oh, okay, we get it. So, and then also eliminate his need to apologize to you, because you're asking him to apologize for something he didn't do, and a boundary he didn't know was there, and a boundary he didn't even know that he crossed. He didn't do anything. And you're really saying, he made me feel uncomfortable. So what did he do? I just felt uncomfortable. No, 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 no. You don't get to say that in this day and age. You just don't. We are in the Me Too movement. We are in that. Time's up and all that other shit. We're not putting up with men mistreating women or using their authority and power over them to make them feel or intimidate them. We're not putting up with that. So when a woman speaks up, everybody's listening. But then when you turn around and say, he didn't do nothing, he didn't say nothing, everybody's like, well, what, why are we running over here? What are we running over here? Nothing happened. But yet and still you want this man to apologize to you? It's just really, I think it's very irresponsible. Once again, if I were her daughters, I'd be embarrassed. I'd be embarrassed. Even Ashley was like, was it his body language? Like, what did he do? Did he get up too close to you? Did he turn around and lock the door? What did he do? Nothing. So why does Chris need to apologize? And I wish somebody, like, I don't like the way that they're cutting it, because I really wish somebody would ask. Like, I really want Chris to come out. I really hope that he takes his apology back, because you shouldn't apologize for something you didn't do. Well, I felt this way. Yes, you felt this way. But in your own words, I didn't do anything to make you feel this way. So who is making you feel this way? And why is it for me to apologize for a way that you feel that I had nothing to do with? What are we doing that? When did we start doing that? I just don't understand it. You're playing on semantics, Candace. I think you made this bigger than it was. Because what you said, and this is what I say, and like I said, I'm not, I'm like, they say, oh, she's the protect your energy lady and all that bullshit. But for real, I had to learn, I haven't always done this, but I had to learn. If you tell a lie on me, or you do something to me that could change my reality, that is how I decided I was going to forgive people, right? If, forgiveness, you want to learn how to forgive people, you want to be in a space of forgiveness. When somebody does something that was unintentional, low impact, they didn't mean to, you can find forgiveness. But when you're doing something that can change my reality, that can change my life, that can change the course of my life, it's unforgivable, whether we work together or not. And the fact that Giselle and Robin can say, I don't like her, and point to Wendy, and then Wendy and Candace act like they have to be in some sort of good graces with these women, it really is hard to watch. It really is. It's pathetic. That's the only word that I can think of. It's pitiful. It's like, don't need these. Do y'all need these jobs that bad for you to work with people who will ignore your mistreatment, sit across from you and be like, I don't like her. That's why I can't see anything that happens to her. I'm totally ignoring it because I don't like her. Because when I tried to come for her husband and her relationship, and I'm glad that they talked about her pattern of behavior. But when Giselle tried to come for Wendy's relationship, Wendy cussed her ass out. And that's the reason why she doesn't like Wendy. That's why Giselle doesn't like Wendy. It's because Wendy cussed her ass out about trying to fuck with her marriage. And now Candace is cussing her out, trying to fuck with her marriage. Monique, that's why everybody says that Giselle was the intended target. What Monique did to Candace was literally misdirected anger. You're mad because you want to be in the cool girls and they're not accepting you and you're really upset about it. And this woman lied on you and you sat on it and even invited her into your home. And then you took it out on Candace. Everybody knows Giselle was the intended target because Giselle wanted to make up a story that this woman's child was not her husband's child. And then before that, who was it? But Michael seems to get like this light treatment where these men who are actually not doing anything are being painted as if they were actually Michael Darby. when Michael Darby gets hugs and shit from Giselle. It's really weird to me. Like I said, I don't understand what is the objective of this show? What are y'all trying to show us? Because I don't understand it. I don't understand it. You made my husband look like a predator. Teddy Perkins is on the end of the couch talking about, well, all you have to do is admit that your friend said your husband did something inappropriate. Even Giselle corrected her. You shut up. Be quiet. Why are you talking? This woman just accused you and your husband of embezzling, and you're trying to stick up for her? I don't know what it is, and that might be the reason why Giselle feels like she's running the show and stuff like that. Because the way that y'all, I don't understand it. She wouldn't get nothing from me. Nothing from me. Nothing at all. I was uncomfortable. You were uncomfortable. Chris didn't do anything. Well, we're going to wait for Chris to come out here and talk about it. And I'm glad he raises his voice at her, because you need to understand the urgency. You need to understand the ramifications of your behavior. This is not just a television show. You are saying things that can affect someone's real life. I'm sorry. I think it's unforgivable. I truly believe it's unforgivable. And the fact that next season, Candace and Wendy are going to be in Giselle's face, laughing and, going on trips together. It's like, why? Like, it's like, what is this show? What is this show? Deborah, what did you think, Ashley? She didn't come up, the story that she told you wasn't what we saw. So what do you think? Yeah, I was a little shocked because Deborah's ugly ass has never, lied to me before. So I was a little shocked. We didn't even get on Mia lying on Chris and then taking it back in mid-season, sending Candace a text message. Why they didn't include that? So if I was Andy, I really want to know, because it's like, so what were y'all doing? Why is it that you had something to say about Chris, Deborah has something to say about Chris, and then Mia said something about Chris? So what is this thing where Chris is just all of a sudden doing stuff that is making people uncomfortable, when previous seasons he's been delightful, accommodating, friendly, to the point where we're telling him, you're too friendly to the women who mistreat your wife? I bet you learn now. Obviously he didn't learn, because he decided to be the quote unquote bigger person and apologize to her. For what? How do you apologize for something you didn't do to this person, out of this person's own mouth? And even Andy's telling Giselle, well, that's how you felt, right? You felt uncomfortable. So you don't understand how Wendy felt about the situation? Well, I don't like her, so I don't understand how she feels about anything, basically. The editing didn't match what was mouthed. I believe that I said that on my review, that what they showed Chris saying and the audio did not match Chris's words that were coming out of his mouth. So I don't know what they did. I can't imagine them protecting Chris if he actually said something inappropriate. But Ashley says that lady stands by what she says. Wendy says something very, very important, that this is a group of women who act like every encounter with a man is somehow, some way inappropriate. Like, that's what happens when you believe it's truly that's why I said you have to be careful when you're around a woman who believes that every man speaking to her, no matter how, it's just like, hi, oh, he wants me, girl, he wants me. Yes, he wants me. He wanted to see if I was with it. He was trying to be my sneaky link. Why were you doing all of that? Why were you saying all of that? Why were you saying all of that? Why? You were trying to be funny at the expense of somebody's life? That's not funny. It's just not funny. It's sad that these women don't know how to act when the husbands are just communicating. You're thinking that somebody's trying to holler at you because they greet you with a smile? What? Girl, are you serious? What about the IG live video, Candace? You weren't talking about Karen or Robin. Robin got the clips from the blogs. Well, I thought she was talking about Ashley and Giselle, but they didn't have businesses at the time. I was in my feelings about how Candace was treating me. You tried to shame me, and you end up embarrassing yourself. Then that's when Robin says everything we do should be on camera. And then they insert a clip, said 2 weeks later. To me, I don't know, but it looks like Robin is getting like her goodbyes. Because I remember when they said goodbye to Sheree in season 4 when she was doing all that picking on her clothes in Neverland. Season 4. When she lost her job running behind, the first time she lost her job running behind KKK Kim. They showed a whole montage of Sheree. That's what I was like, oh, this is gonna be Sheree's. She gone after this season. Them inserting parts where Robin has contradicted herself and looked like a fucking hypocrite while you were actually sitting there knowing that you and your homegirl were gonna focus on Chris, even though he didn't do anything and didn't say anything, when your husband was the one who was actually the one, married, fiance, whatever, and alone with a woman in a hotel room. Mr. Captain Save-A-Ho went down there to pay the girl's hotel bill. All this thing you knew about. Y'all knew about it. Giselle knew about it. She said the woman contacted her. And y'all sitting up here talking about a fake story that can have real life consequences instead of a real story because y'all are too embarrassed. You're too embarrassed. You're so embarrassed that you're getting ready to legally bind yourself to someone who was down in a hotel room with another woman and paid for her hotel room, then allegedly sent his homeboy to proposition her for what I don't know. And then you went on to say that I think she did her and the homeboy slept together. That's what you said on Reasonably Shady. That's just a working title. We'll see how Eminem's lawsuit works out. And y'all sat there and they're inserting clips after you said something. Let's show this hypocrite. I don't know if this is going to be Robin's last year or not. I don't know. The loyalty with Candace and Wendy and talking about Robin. That's who you say is loyal to you. Like, to me, I'm the same way. Like, I don't know. I'm looking at Candace like, do you need friends that bad? Like, I don't think you do. You seem to have a lot of friends outside of this show. So you trying to hold on to Robin, even when you're talking about Giselle's moral compass as it comes to her mistreatment, not ignoring the mistreatment of Wendy. You could see how Robin is acting. That's your homegirl still? Okay, Candace. I really can't imagine Candace needing friends that badly. I just can't. They get ready to break for lunch. The men show up. Wendy goes to Eddie and was like, she done brought your name up 3 times already. He was like, huh? Girl, it's a mess. G wants to hug. Says he's not giving out any hugs. Candace says yes, because we don't want anybody to feel uncomfortable. I think it's a mind fuck to actually work with people that you don't like, who ignore your mistreatment, and then have to like I saw the trailer for the Real Housewives Ultimate Girls Trip in Thailand, and the host, the man, he says, y'all are fake. Y'all hollering and screaming at each other for 1 minute, and then the next minute, y'all all hugged up. Y'all fake. And I have to imagine that it is a mind fuck to actually be mistreated by someone and then turn around and try and have a good time with them. That's like a level of toxicity that I don't think is conducive to my well-being. I couldn't be in an environment like that. Like on edge with these women, not knowing if they're going to set you up, if they're going to say something, a lie, just make up a lie about you. And it's like, is the platform worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? And how much do you invest in that? Like, what is the cost? Like, is it not that bad? Is it not that bad to be cool with Giselle after she lied on your husband? It's not that bad. I mean, we can go back to being cool. Can we? Like in real life? So I want to know if it's a reality show, it's like in real life, it's like none of this stuff would happen. I don't know. I don't know. And it's like we're supposed to be watching it for entertainment. And I just think I don't find it entertaining because it's too much lying. It's too many double standards. It's like, what are we doing? It's pathetic to watch grown women try to befriend people who would lie on their spouses and try to be cool with them, right? And then like even Wendy, like when she's telling me off, you violated me, and they're like, well, weren't y'all bumping coochies later? To that point where she was like, yeah, that's the tequila. No, it's not the tequila. No, Wendy. No. Somebody's like, Wendy be talking talking out of both sides of her mouth. She does. Like, girl, even after that thing in Miami, there's no way. There's no way. What's more realistic to me is like on Miami, the Real Housewives of Miami. After Adriana said what she said to Alexia, they were going to dinner next. And Alexia said, I'm not sitting across from her. No, no. That's reality to me. I'm going to walk past you and not speak to you because in real life, I'm not fucking with you right now because you said something crazy to me. But when somebody, like, to me, is that forgivable? It might be. She might get past her saying something about Frankie. But when you lie on my husband and it actually can change my household, like he could lose his job off of some shit that you saying, and I'm supposed to be cool with you going on vacations and shit with you? They get on Giselle. The success of the podcast. They've never listened to a podcast before they had a podcast. Wendy was like, that's not wise. And she was like, why are you being a hater? We're successful with being mediocre. We're successful with not having to have any experience. We were given an opportunity, didn't have the experience. And because we have a loyal fan base, they're going to support us. We don't have to have any experience. Y'all gonna tell me that's not, what is that? Why were they even, what made them so interesting for Charlemagne to say, I want to give you a podcast on my podcast network? And these women like, we've never listened to a podcast before, but you were given this wild opportunity with no effort. Wendy, I had the candles out. I said I was going to have candles out when I came out with my fragrance. I didn't want to say anything. This is Karen to Wendy. I didn't want to say anything to bust your bubble or what have you, whatever. They asked Karen, did you get the variety show from the Countess? And she was like, no, Carol Burnett was my inspiration. But she also said Wendy Williams was her inspiration. And then I was like, why are you lying? That's the thing. I was like, girl, you just be saying anything. Just anything, Karen. Who are the Ladons? Did anyone stand up? That's what Giselle asked her. And then if there were the Robins, what would they be? She was like, boring. They talked about Giselle's hysterectomy. This is the biggest feedback I've ever gotten from the women, from the viewers. Yes, because this is the only thing that you've ever shared with people. Like somebody said that Giselle had a sister. Did y'all know Giselle had a sister? Maybe if you're a super fan, I don't know what would be so fantastical to be a fan about her about. But Giselle has a sister. She's been on this show for 7 years. We have not. Have y'all seen her sister? I haven't seen her. Did she come on the show at all? I've seen Giselle's. Have we seen her mother? No, I'm thinking about Robin's mother. I see that woman's face. That's Robin's mother. Where's Giselle's mother? I've seen her father. She has a sister. Nobody knows. Virgo. Nobody knows. But you expect other people to share more. I ask them questions, they answer. They don't have to answer. Like that's to her point. What the fuck are you answering these weird ass questions from this weirdo who never shares anything about her life? Why are y'all? Why do you feel obligated to answer questions of someone who doesn't share nothing about their life? Like, what is wrong with y'all? I be trying to figure out what's wrong with y'all to where y'all supposed to be these boss, strong, confident women, and there's a breakdown somewhere. It's truly a breakdown somewhere, and I'm like, what is it? She gonna tell Andy no. She starts talking about her hysterectomy. She was in the she was supposed to be in there for 3.5 hours. She was in there for 8.5 hours. They were giving them updates, and they stopped giving them updates. Her daughters were terrified. They don't want to talk about it. And then she tells Andy, we'll talk about it later. And then Andy's like, no, we'll talk about it now. This is the purpose of this. Like, we literally had your hysterectomy storyline on the last episode. And then you're saying that's the most feedback you've gotten from the fans. And then you're like, I don't want to talk about it because you don't want nobody to see you cry. I'm not sharing health issues with people I don't like. And then that's when Wendy says, I don't like you, sweetie. Like, we don't like each other. That's fine. You don't have to answer the questions. You don't. That's the thing I don't understand. Girl, what? I would, girl, Giselle asked some questions. I would tell her any fucking thing. I would tell her anything. Tell her the most outlandish, give her the most outlandish answer and let her run with it. I would tell her, when I tell you, I would say anything. You know, y'all be saying anything to these niggas when you be on the phone with them and they asking you questions, you just say anything. The same with Giselle. I'm just saying anything, girl. Whatever. I'm not saying nothing to her. I'm not sharing nothing with that girl. Y'all weird. Wendy, her health is better with the restaurant. We're gonna do the restaurant with Peter. Mia, so what is this? You were in a relationship with Peter? This was before he had the girlfriend. You threw a drink and she responded. That shit was fucked up. And then she said, that shit was fucked up. I might be a strong person or whatever. And it was, it is fucked up the way they responded. They literally had a powwow about what happened to Candace. While the severity wasn't as harsh on Mia's side, but she attacked her twice. She went back. The way that Monique wanted to go back, she went back and then tried to hit her with her purse. It was fucked up, the response. The fact that Giselle and Robin ran to Mia to coddle her. But I thought y'all were above, right? So any act of violence, no matter who the target was, should have been treated the same exact way. She says, okay, all right. You want to talk about Peter? No, I don't want to talk about Peter. I want to talk about you being responsible and being accountable for what you did to me. We're not talking about Peter. Unless you want to talk about why you got so mad because you the one effing Peter. That's how that should have gone. Mia should have never been able to like flip it like that. Like, what? Okay, so, well, okay, I hit you and I tried to hit you. I threw a drink on you. Okay, well, all right. You want to talk about Peter? What? You just saying anything. Y'all had dinner before filming. You're effing for lobsters. It's just stupid. It was just dumb. Robin, why did you say that Wendy was being antagonistic? after a drink was being thrown at her. Okay, well, first of all, I don't want her to be fighting on TV. Then they show this unseen footage of her telling her, you don't want to be seen fighting on TV. Basically, wait for the cameras to go down to whoop her ass. That's what basically Robin was giving her the eyes, like, you wait until there's no cameras. Y'all still trying to make it seem like she can't be upset and angry and cussing out the person who just attacked her. I know how that feels. It happened to me. I was assaulted, and when I was in response to I was in response and using my mouth because I was assaulted by my brother, and I was using my mouth to cuss him out, and everybody was trying to get me to stop cussing his ass out because my grandmother was in the room. I was like, what the fuck? I just got assaulted. You can't tell me I can't scream and holler and be upset because somebody violated me in front of my children. I can't be upset. Well, if you want somebody to hit you again, what? If she pops you in the mouth, what? That's what I'm saying. It doesn't make, it's like, and then what makes it even more dangerous is that we're sitting here like, what, are you kidding me? But they're acting like this because they don't like her. And that's what makes it even more dangerous. It's like, you're saying she's being antagonistic. She's saying she's not antagonizing anything. She's upset because she's probably embarrassed. One, she had a drink thrown on her. Then a woman tried to hit her with her purse. And her castmates, the person who would actually comfort her, is not there. Candace was not there. So no one else is comforting her. Ashley said, well, I stand by that because no one else had her back. No one had her back. What? That's why everybody's just like, what? It's because the women don't like each other. So there's no loyalty. There's no respect. And then to me, how do you come back to that? Like, how do you say, yeah, I want to sign on for another season? I don't know. If someone hits someone, even dumbass Mia, and then that's when Giselle was like, that's not nice. You just told me you didn't like me, but you want me to be nice to the person who assaulted me? Like, I'm not excusing, but I understood her frustrations. You only understood Mia because you don't like Wendy. But how could you understand her frustrations? What was she frustrated about? Wendy didn't do anything. Wendy didn't start cussing her out until after she threw the drink on her. She was like, oh, and then that's when she got upset. So what frustrations of Mia were you did that you understood so well, Robin? Karen would have been the perfect person, Robin says. Karen would have been the perfect person to stop the fight. What? Karen was like, how the fuck am I in it? Karen still not saying hardly anything, sitting in the first chair and not saying nothing. You were the one, not me. You're trying to gaslight the situation. No, you're trying to put gas on the fire. More gas on the fire. That's what you're trying to do. You were the one with a camera, with your camera, the light on your camera on. Because Robin said she was filming because she didn't want no he said, she said. But then she was filming because she didn't want Wendy to fight. What is it? Robin, Sharice had to hold you back. She said, yeah, basically she held me back, but I didn't need her to hold me back. That's what she kept saying. Again, semantics. I wanted, listen, this is Robin, like completely like removing accountability for her actions by saying the reason why she stood up is because Wendy kept telling her to stand in her shit, right? Stand in it. I am standing. I am standing. So that's the only reason why you were standing, is because she told you. The same way when, what's her name, told you don't get in my face, and you walked up and got in her face. So them telling you what to do is the reason why you do it. But so that you don't get held accountable for actually doing it. I didn't need her to hold me back. Andy says, if we were in a conflict right now and you got up and started to walk towards Wendy, I would try to stop it. Wendy says, I don't know where y'all from, but that's an aggressive motion. In conflict, to walk towards somebody, you are the aggressor. Ashley, you flip-flop. You defended Monique because you wanted to basically, from the clip, assassinate Candace's character. Again, when someone doesn't like you, they will ignore your mistreatment. They will even get involved legally in order to assassinate your character. Giselle, you're hypocritical to the reaction. Well, Candace got beat up. I don't like her. See, your moral compass is off. Right is right. Andy says that's not holding up in court anywhere. Wendy says what happened was fucked up. The way it was handled was fucked up. It took everything out of me not to whoop your A. And I was just having that conversation with you to move forward as a group. I don't F with you. You violated me. Well, weren't y'all kissing and bumping coochies? Well, that was the tequila. No. They get on colorism. Andy says we have a lot of audience feedback. It's sensitive, it's nuanced. I shouldn't be leading as the conversation as a white man. The producers called everyone individually and asked them, would they want to talk about it? Did they want a moderator? They said no. Candace was the most vocal. Candace brings out the definition. Everybody agrees on the definition. They talk about Robin's behavior not being received the same way as Candace's behavior. Not just by the women on the show, but by the audience viewers. Karen explains that it's learned behavior. Yes, it's learned. And what's even more important is to understand that wherever there is a color spectrum of people, those people tend to be infected by the illusion of white supremacy. It is a subsidiary of racism, because the idea that the lighter skinned person is treated differently than the darker skinned person. When the darker skinned person is mistreated, they run to the lighter skinned woman who was actually the aggressor. Candace cries, she gets loud. Her behavior is received one way, while Robin's behavior is almost ignored. I'm glad Andy brought up the umbrella incident. Mistreatment, ignoring how another person behaves, giving a person the first seat when they've actually contributed nothing than the two darker skinned people. Actually, Candace has contributed more, and having these two light skinned women in the front. Karen, why did you say you still haven't spoke to the reason why you said Wendy didn't fit the look of the show? What are you talking about? Ashley acknowledges that there's preferential treatment. Candace gets emotional and says, that's all I wanted y'all to do is acknowledge it. She says, I don't think anybody on the cast is colorist. But just like when racism, if you ignore the social construct of racism and its effects, and you act like it doesn't exist, then you don't have to acknowledge that you are privileged in that way. You have to, if you acknowledge racism, then you have to acknowledge that you get treated a certain way because you are not darker skinned or black or any other color spectrum. The Latino people, they got colorism real bad. Asian people got colorism. Indians, colorism real bad. Real bad. Real bad. Latin people, in all the Latin cultures, everywhere, all over their diaspora, okay? All over, from Mexico to Puerto Rico to Cuba, they got colorism real bad, real bad, real bad. So again, wherever there's a color spectrum of people, the illusion of white supremacy infects that group of people. Infects. It is a cancer. And if you actually acknowledge it and don't try to dismiss it, then you have to acknowledge what you get from it. So ignore it, because then I don't have to acknowledge the privilege that I have for being a light-skinned woman, not having to do much and still be rewarded, while the darker skinned women have to be excellent. You get to be mediocre and still get rewarded. I thought the segment was dumb. That's what I put. This was dumb. That's what I wrote. It was. They could have done more, but dealing with the double standards on the show, the lying, just all the things that they deal with on the show, it really feels like you're watching the Twilight Zone. And I think that has been the theme since season 5. Like, everybody feels like this is the Twilight Zone. Like, what are y'all doing? First of all, how are you cool with these people after they mistreated you like this? Like, honestly, if Candace comes back next season, I'm really going to be watching the way she interacts with Giselle. Like, I'm really going to be watching that, because and then she goes on a trip with Giselle to do Ultimate Girls Trip. So I want to see how that is going to play out, because you lied on my husband. You want my husband to apologize for something he didn't do. So you are playing semantics, and you know you're playing semantics. And then somebody needs to make a montage of every single reunion of Giselle acting like she's so fucking confused. Anyways, that's my time. I hope we got as much as we can out of part 2. Take care of each other. Protect your energy. Let's get down in the comments. Peace.